Okay.
Okay. So, Hero, what are the 5 philosophies of truth?
My philosophies have changed.
What?
You mean the Stoicism, Epicureanism, cynicism, and skepticism, and Pythagoreanism. Yeah. Well, that's interesting because I don't really think of them as, of truth. It's just like a little schemata, like a graph paper on which you plot philosophy.
Oh yeah? Which kind of tablet do you like to write on?
I like graph paper. I like that engineering graph paper, the green graph paper with the bold inch lines and then the more subtle back printed lines.
But of the 5 philosophies,
That would be skepticism, is that one.
a skeptic?
Yeah. Oh, now you're on there.
Why?
Because that's the only one that admits the other ones exist and have value. It argues that they should all go together to a certain degree. But then again, you could say that's relativism and it's distinct from skepticism.
But it's still, relativism is still within one of the 5.
No, that's what I was saying. There's any number of other philosophies. I mean, it's just a gimmick so that you, like this ancient skeptics were interesting, like you got the 10 Commandments and stuff, and all kinds of philosophies have the 5, this or that, the Stoa. The skeptics are, because of the way skepticism is, they were more like they had the 5 podes and the 10 and the 7 and the 8 and whatever suits your fancy because it's arbitrary. So it's arbitrary. It's just a good Western reference because it's pretty. You run into people, you'll tend to be able to categorize them in one of these. That's not really the correct or perfect category. They're probably unique individuals that don't fit a category.
How many categories would you make in your ideal?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I'm very skeptic about that. I would have multiple systems, and I do have all. When you toy with a system like that, you choose a number. You choose it for the same kind of mystical reasons that they love the regular solids and stuff.
Could you come up with 13?
13's a good one. Yeah, 13 is a good one because of the
moon
should be 13 months a year, pretty much, roughly with the moon cycle. Yeah. Exactly. So you choose a number for something like that, But then again, 13 isn't the greatest. It's a big prime. That's why 12 is so useful. It divides so many different ways. So it's like there is a practical reason to choose one number versus another. So I think generally 7. I like lists of 7, 3, and 7. I mean, the 5 just came about just because those happen to be. I noticed that to me those offer a big spread over lots of different perspectives on something. So it's like a little machine, a little calculator. You can just punch in some situation, like an ethical dilemma or something, and pretty much right away what each of those philosophies would say on the subject. So right away you have 5 things, but you don't stop there, and of course I myself would think of 10 or 20 or whatever, as many as I can think of as well. And then you look at all of those proposed solutions to whatever the situation is, and that's relativism.
I know the 12 signs, but can you explain the 13th sign?
Oh, I haven't done that. I was going to do a video on that with the 13th sign.
Yeah.
Ophiuchus. Yeah. We probably running out. Oh, it's only 4 minutes. You want me to talk about it? Ophiuchus? So yeah, that's the funny thing. If you accept astrology, just on the premise, and maybe we've been exposed to the cycles of the sun and the stars for millions of years, and we have to survive millions of years. So it's kind of interesting, this whole thing of looking at timing, and something positive can easily come from it that you wouldn't expect, like astronomy. Pretty much, I would say, comes from astrology, loosely speaking. But anyway, yeah, so the weird thing is that the signs, you're told the sun is in that constellation, and it's not really. There's 13 constellations that the sun goes through, Um, and one of them's ophiuchus, and it goes. You might think, oh, it just grazes. No, it goes through a long time. It's in there a month. It's actually in Scorpio only 6 days, and none of the 6 are during the period that Scorpios have as their birth dates. Which so it's kind of weird. It's like to say it has some sort of metaphysical significance. Is almost secondary to if you are going to do astrology. And it's like this system comes from Ptolemy, who was really, an astronomer trying to do mathematical star calculations, and it was when that was still very mixed. But um, yeah, he knew that the sun was not in that actual constellation. So,
Then why did he put it?
well, because they consider in the tropical system that those are just the names of the 13 quadrants in the sky, or 12 quadrants in the sky, rather. It's just the name of 30 degrees. It's 360 around, so there's 30 degrees. 12, that's the whole 12 is just a great, and 360. They go together really well in the sense that they divide up into halves and fours and lots of different kinds of things. So,
Couldn't we? It's probably silly, but can we change the number of degrees? Why does there have to be 360?
well, in a way we have, right? People use radians where there's, 2 pi degrees in a circle.
Right. But does it have to be so confusing? Can we just come up with another round number to use as a basis for circumference?
Well, the reason there's 365 days is, I think, was the Babylonians thought there were 365. Um, you know, how the hell does that work? No, there's 360 degrees in a circle is related to 1 degree per day. But it didn't quite match up. The Babylonians set that up, I think. But yeah, well, that's the thing. The ancient Babylonian astrology and the ancient Greek astrology, they adjusted for the fact that the stars moved around. We, as a modern people, yeah, I think astrology is a lot more interesting if you actually, really is where the sun is in the sky, not just in some book of tables that says, well, this date we'll call that. But so, plus I'm an ophiuchus, turns out. When I was born.
That would make me even more of a Virgo.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. It's pretty Libra.
Virgo is one of the huge things. There'd be a lot fewer Scorpios if we did it sidereally, and then Virgo, though, is a really long one still. So yeah, but every Scorpio out there is not really a Scorpio, in the sense that the sun is not in front of Scorpius, the constellation. There might be a day of overlap. I think it's pretty much no overlap. Anyway, okay. Bye-bye. Oops.